Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Shop Talk and Video Games. Obviously, we're still continuing our Star Trek Discovery series since this one's probably going to be rather lengthy. I apologize for the long gap in between the two episodes, or actually, this will be the third one, but in between the second episode and this episode, I have had internet issues, I have had computer issues, I had the latest video uploaded, my gun video, take incredibly long to do because my computer struggles with editing now. So that is one of the reasons why it's taken so long to get this third one out. I've also had way too many video games videos posted on my channel, and I'm trying to spread the love amongst my other categories a little bit. In fact, after this one, I will be doing it should be my final part to my gun videos, and then next week I'll be working on some outdoor adventure videos. But anyway, enough about that. We're gonna get into part 3 of Star Trek Discovery. I think last episode I talked about how I was gonna talk about Captain Philippa Georgiou. I'm sorry, butchered that. But I decided, she doesn't matter all that much, really. In my opinion, she is a quite useless character that they keep throwing back into the show for whatever reason, I guess, to make themselves feel happy. I mean, the first 2 episodes, she serves a purpose of introducing Michael and what Michael's going to be bringing to the show and why Michael's in the situation she's in. But other than that, she served no purpose at all. She was absolutely useless. I mean, she was a horrible captain. She let her first officer walk all over to the point where she gets Vulcan neck pinched and knocked unconscious. Luckily, she was smart enough to retaliate in kind with a phaser stun and throw her in prison. But she was so walked over and pushed over by her first officer. It was like, why are you even captain of the ship? Why is it Burnham captain of the ship? I know the first episode starts off with her talking about how she thinks Burnham deserves her first command and how she should get it soon. But that doesn't give Burnham the right to be basically a whiny, spoiled brat. That's at least the way I kind of covered this in the Burnham video, but she was just spoiled. But even crying out loud, Burnham finally gets out of the brig after being thrown in there and it gets blown open and somehow survives that. She reports back up to Captain Georgiou, and Captain Georgiou she's a little upset that she's out, but then plays it off like it's no big deal, and then ends up going on an away mission with Burnham to a hostile ship to get herself killed. I'm like, holy crap, man. It's like, I mean, if they left it at that, I guess Georgiou wouldn't bother me as much, other than the fact she was a big pushover, and let Burnham walk all over her. Burnham was like the spoiled brat child, and Georgiou was the mother that couldn't handle her child and let the child do whatever she wanted every single time she threw a fit. So, I was like, alright, you know what, if that's all I'm going to see of her, that's no big deal. No, I was wrong. She was dead. However, the whole Mirror Universe episode happened, which is going to lead me into actually who this episode's going to be about in a minute. Mirror episode happens, and we find Empress Philippa Georgiou, who Burnham somehow feels is the same exact Georgiou during the Prime Universe, which we all know, even though the Mirror Universe, I always took the Mirror Universe as a cheesy, campy kind of look at the Star Trek universe, as in, hey, this is how things would be if the roles were reversed, and the Federation was this horrible dictatorship that was anti-alien and wanted to rule the galaxy and subjugate all the people that lived within it. And for the most part, yeah, with the exception of a few episodes here and there, they didn't really get too deep with it. They kind of just ignored it. They threw it in there every now and then. That's about it. Every series, I believe, had their episode or episodes of the Terran Empire, one way or another. Obviously, starting with the original series. But Discovery decided to explore it a little more and actually make it part of their ongoing storyline, which, again, Discovery is one of the few shows so far that seems to have an ongoing story through a whole season. I know you can argue Voyager did it, but Voyager had the only thing ongoing about it is they were trying to get home, but every episode kind of had a little difference. With every now and then you have a throwback to a previous episode, or a reference to a previous episode, or a run-in from a character or an alien race from a previous episode. But Discovery tried to have like a whole actual story go through the whole season. But they wanted, and usually when you have the Terran Empire thrown into a series, it was just its own standalone kind of thing. Didn't really affect the overall feel of the series. In Discovery, that wasn't the case. It actually had a role to play in the series. For some reason, they thought it was an amazing idea to bring Empress Georgiou back to the Prime Universe and make her a stand-in captain, saying, haha, just kidding, guys. She never died in the Battle of the Binaries. So here she is. She's coming to take command of Discovery because now Lorca's gone. And this is what this episode of Coffee Shop Talk is going to be about, is Captain Lorca. Since Lorca's gone, Georgiou is the rightful captain of the Sinjo, so it makes sense for her to be captain of the Discovery. No, it does not make sense. And the only people that knew she wasn't really Captain Georgiou was, I can't remember if Saru knew. Obviously Burnham knew. No, Saru knew, because Saru was shocked to see her brought back. I think Tilly knew as well. Stamens might have knew. I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen that episode, and I don't really care to watch back through it again. But the rest of the crew didn't know, so everybody had to play dumb like this was actually Captain Georgiou, but there was clearly something different about her. Her mannerisms and her ideology was clearly showing through the way she was acting towards everybody. Not to mention the fact that drives me out the wall that this admiral, who's supposed to be the top dog of the Federation, is willing to go the route of hiring somebody from the Terran Empire to eradicate the Klingon Empire. I was like, oh my word, you guys are reaching so hard. And it would have been that big a deal, but the Admiral never got punished for it. At least not yet anyway. Maybe in Season 2 she will. But other than Burnham giving her lip and talk about how this is not the Federation, this is not how we do it, she was never punished for it. Every other Admiral or Captain you see pull this kind of stunt in Star Trek got punished. And there were repercussions for it. But this Admiral apparently, and I can't remember her name because she was also forgettable. This Admiral apparently is untouchable. She can do whatever she wants. Maybe I can give Discovery the benefit of the doubt, and later on if they can keep going on season after season, since there's been a lot of shakeup with it right now, maybe she'll finally get what's come to her. I don't know. I highly doubt it. She was on a Klingon prison ship being tortured, and we all thought she was dead. And that's another thing about this show. I know Star Trek is guilty of this in general, but this show's like bringing it all out at once. Every time you think somebody's dead, they're back. They bring them back somehow, or maybe a copy of them. Which is going to lead me on to Captain Lorca. And this is what this episode is going to be like. Because enough about Georgiou. She, as of right now, she serves no purpose to the Discovery Universe except to irritate the crap out of me. Apparently, she's coming back in Season 2 and is going to be a part of Section 31. Which I was hoping they'd go the 31 route, because that would be the only way to explain why Discovery was never, mentioned in any other canon shows or movies or anything like that. Because 31 is supposed to be this top secret organization that, as we knew with Lieutenant Reed and Enterprise and Dr. Bashir and Deep Space Nine, that it's a very secretive, and we don't find out till later in the series in those two shows that they were a part of this organization. So it would make sense. I mean, it would be kind of hard to explain like a whole thing like the Discovery disappeared from history, but it's believable. Everybody likes conspiracies, and conspiracies can always be explained somehow. But anyway, so it appears Captain Georgiou or Empress Georgiou, whatever Georgiou they're going to try to play this Georgiou off to be, is going to be part of Section 31, and apparently Spock is going to be a part of it, which is a huge eye roll for me. But I'll talk more about Season 2's trailer after I'm done talking about Lorca. We're already 10 minutes into this video, and these videos have been going kind of long. But anyway, Captain Lorca was actually one of my favorite characters in the whole show. And no, it's not because he's a white male in charge of everything. It was because he was the actual character that had depth and actually did a decent job of acting to his role. I was thoroughly disappointed to find out he was... Actually, I thought it was interesting and really cool to find out he's actually the Terran copy of, or Terran version of Lorca. And the reason why everything has happened to Discovery so far with the mycelial network and the spore drive and Burnham being brought to Discovery was all because of his doing and his master plan. I mean, Burnham was mainly because he had a love interest with her in the Terran Empire, and he wanted to explore that, thinking this Burnham can be converted to his way. Obviously, that's not the case and doesn't work out once she finds out who he really is. But other than that, Lorca had more character and more depth than any other character in that show, in my opinion. He was actually decently written up until the point they kill him off. And he had emotion to him, and he had an investment. We didn't know until obviously find out he's Terran, why he was driven the way he was driven, and why the mycelial network and spore drive meant so much to him, and why it was so important for Discovery to accomplish his mission. Well, now we know it was for him to find a way back to the Terran Empire so he can kill off Georgiou to become the new Emperor of the Empire. But that didn't go so well because he ends up dying, and that's my biggest complaint about Lorca. They kill him off. He killed off the most interesting, important character, in my opinion, to the show. And obviously people are going to argue, oh, Burnham's the most important character. Yeah, because she's supposed to be the main character. So that would make sense. But I mean, the way he handled every situation was awesome. It felt great. It felt fitting for the show and the direction I thought they were going with. But no, that's not it. We can't have him being in charge. Whether it's because they're truly trying to make this an all-female cast where all the females are only in charge, or whatever reason, or they are really trying to play off as the white male as being the most evil of the group, I don't know. I'm not going to go that far. I do have my SJW complaints with the show, as you guys have heard so far already. I mean, Isaacs ends up disappointing me with actually some of the banter he had back and forth with some fans and saying we're all Trump-loving, homophobic, sexist, racist jerkwads, basically, just because we disagree with Discovery. I mean, I'm none of those things, and I still hate Discovery because I think it's garbage. It's not Star Trek. It's poorly written. It's weak, and it's lazy. And I've mentioned this over and over again, and as the series goes on, you're going to keep hearing it. Like I said with my first episode, disclaimer, if you absolutely loved Discovery and hoping to hear some positive things about it, you might want to move on, because if I have anything positive to say, it's going to be very little and caveated with something incredibly negative about the show, because I feel disgusted that I pay for this on their stupid CBS All Access bull crap. But anyway, yeah. Look, I don't want to go down that road either. We'll be here all night. But anyway, Lorca brought something to Star Trek that our Discovery that was lacking. He was a motivated, driven captain that, so at the time, we thought had Federation ideologies, where he was kind of like a Kirk in a way, where he said, screw the higher command, I have a mission to do, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish it. Because he got himself in trouble a few times, as we saw in that one episode where we find out him and the Admiral apparently were a thing at some point. I don't know if it was Prime Lorca or Terran Lorca. I'm going to assume Prime Lorca, and he just went with it because he doesn't want to be found out. And then that's when we find out about the, I can't remember what the chamber's called, basically the torture chamber in the Terran Empire uses to torture its prisoners. We find out, man, the name's at the top of my head, right, or tip of my tongue right now, and I can't think of it for some reason. It's going to come to me as soon as this video's over, but it is what it is. And he, like I said, he was interesting. The way he handled being a prisoner on the Klingon ship and dealing with Tyler, which we're going to get into him later. And I love his interaction with Henry Mudd. And I think him and Henry Mudd play off each other very well. And I was really excited that they brought Mudd into this. And I like who they picked to play Mudd. And I liked how well, I mean, it is Isaacs, but Lorca and Mudd play off each other. I can't remember the name of the episode, but it is my favorite episode of the whole series. It was when Mudd is constantly getting on Discovery to find a way to find the secrets of the spore drive, but in the process, he's taking joy in getting his revenge on Lorca and killing him over and over and over again any way he can find possible. Favorite episode. The only episode I would ever watch again if I wanted to watch Discovery. And that couldn't happen without Lorca. But Discovery is not about Lorca. I mean, even in that episode, the main focus was Michael. Because she's... I guess I missed it, or I just can't remember. Somehow she's able to realize there's something wrong and why they kept looping through it. Stamens made sense why he knew, because his messing around with the spore drive and his experimenting with the tardigrade and everything he did with the mycelial network made him go cuckoo crazy, and it helped him, give him insight to the loop. But he, for some reason, couldn't handle it himself, so he had to get Burnham to do it. Again, I have to watch the episode again. But, I mean, it makes sense in the form of the fact that Burnham is supposed to be the main focus of the show. So she actually has to be the one to solve this. And I think they're focusing too hard on her. I mean, every Star Trek episode and previous shows, I mean, yeah, you had your main character who focused on Deep Space Nine is Cisco, and then Voyager is mainly Janeway, but both of them really focused on the whole main crew of the shows, and then Next Generation was Picard, and original series Kirk, and Enterprise is Archer. But every character, main / supporting character, had their own episodes here and there, where it was not just the focus on Archer or Kirk or Picard or Cisco or Janeway. They all had their different things, and that's what's lacking in Discovery so far, at least in my opinion. I mean, yeah, they kind of go back and forth with Tilly and Stamens, but they kind of don't really get their episodes per se, in my opinion. And that's another thing, and I think that's a complaint other people are having, especially with the rest of the bridge crew, since, and I guess supposedly in season 2 we're supposed to get more involvement with the bridge crew, since the season 1 since been a main focus on Burnham. But Lorca, I think, wasn't done justice, and it kind of pisses me off when the biggest complaints about Lorca is that he ends up being a bad guy. He's this horrible, evil douchebag that they just decided to kill off inexplicably. I mean, yeah, okay, he's trying to kill Georgiou. Burnham wants to save Georgiou. She wants to return to the Prime Universe. Can't do that with Lorca constantly interfering, so they had to kill him off. I was like, yeah, whatever, okay, makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is they have to bring Georgiou back, but they can't let Lorca live. And then they get back to the Prime Universe, and everybody just ignores the fact that Prime Lorca is gone. They just like, well, we haven't heard from him in forever. Terranet Lorca's dead, so I guess Prime Lorca's dead too. That's good enough for me. Is it good enough for you? Okay, cool. We can move on with our lives. Now, I'm hoping that's just to be a little bit of misdirection, that Lorca will make a surprise appearance, because they seem to really want to love and try to do plot twists in the show, which I have been failing in my opinion, but I mean, you guys might disagree. But I mean, for crying out loud, they didn't show any emotion. I mean, yeah, the Lorca they dealt with ended up being a horrible, terrible human being, to the point when the Admiral, I guess, decided to vaporize his bowl of fortune cookies. But it seems to completely forgot there was a Prime Lorca, and that's the Lorca she was in love with. And the Lorca that, I mean, though they were misled by the Terran Lorca, but the crew of the Discovery got used to. I mean, I'm sure most of the Discovery members on that show, in theory, knew Prime Lorca before all this happened. But no, nobody has any remorse that Prime Lorca's gone, except the anger felt by the Admiral that she was used and misled by this Terran Lorca. So even if they bring him back, am I supposed to be emotionally invested that Prime Lorca is back and they finally found him, rescued him? Okay, I'll be shocked. Woo, they brought him back, and something that's never been done in any sci-fi or Star Trek show ever. The guy we thought is dead this whole time is alive. Woo, you guys are amazing writers and you're so original. Nope, you're not gonna get me. I mean, so far and I'll lead on. We're at almost 20 minutes, so we'll go ahead and kind of end my rant about Lorca and go on to the Season 2 trailer, because this is going to tie into what I was about to say. Yeah, okay, so if Lorca's going to be brought back, there's nothing to show for it. There was nothing in the trail, which, again, could be a little attempt at a little misdirection to mislead us and trick us and fool us into thinking Lorca's actually gone, and then, surprise, surprise, he's alive and back. Because the Discovery technically still does not have its captain. Captain Pike has assumed command because of some Starfleet regulation, some crisis that's going on that involves Spock and this Red Angel and these random signals and red flares showing up all over the galaxy. And it ties into Spock. It doesn't, and honestly, it might be just because I'm so bitter towards Discovery. The story does not sound interesting at all. The only cool thing about it is I got to see the Enterprise reimagined at the end of season 1. I think it's really cool. We're going to get more of Pike. I liked Pike in the original series, what little we had him, and I really like Pike in the Star Trek movies. I would like to see more and learn more about Pike, but obviously I'm not going to really get this because this Pike is going to be a invisible entity, because even though they swear up and down Discovery is canon, it's clear that all this is going to be forgotten or wiped away or swept under the rug, because it's going to be played off as some conspiracy that Federation would probably try to hide in the end for whatever reason, or some reason they're going to decide at the end of this whole show, when they finally end it, that, well, at least hopefully they get to do a real ending for this, because it's just going to piss more people off that they kind of do an Enterprise ending. That it's going to be forgotten in history books for whatever reason, because I guess the Federation did shady practices with hiring a Terran Empress. I say hiring, they didn't pay her, they just made a deal with her to resolve their Klingon problem. And then they have this kind of controversial ship where they were doing some experimenting with splicing a human with a tardigrade, which is genetic engineering, which is supposed to be illegal after the eugenic wars and Khan and all that. So I mean, it's cool they kind of play to tie that, you know, everything, but not. And I like that attention to detail in the show. I will admit the little Easter eggs and tiebacks is cool, but that doesn't excuse for the other atrocities they pulled. I mean, the Klingons in season 2 are going to have hair, but I'm sorry, that's not enough to make them look Klingons. The prosthetics on these Klingons are the worst I've seen in any sci-fi show in so long. It looks like their faces are glued on, which they are. They are glued on. The Klingons of old Star Trek actually looked like that was their body. That was part of their skin. It was attached to them. It moved with their face. I know the original series just basically did things with their eyebrows and skin color and hair and made them look Klingon, but when they start getting into fangs and ridges and all that, it looked believable. These Klingons look like garbage. They got oblong heads. They have fake looking faces. They barely move their mouths because of all the crap they put in there. So they definitely let us down there. And putting hair on there is not enough to fix it. Maybe they're going to try to do the slow transition to the Klingons we know and love and try to explain why that happened in the first place. I don't know. I am excited that they are going to have... Well, I'm not excited. I am reserved, but excited about the fact that they showed a Klingon D7. It was a hologram of it, so that doesn't tell me there's actually going to be D7s, and they can actually have traditional-looking Klingon ships in the show now. The fact that bringing back Georgiou again, which I wasn't surprised because the way she ended in the last episode she was in, does not impress me at all. I'm not super thrilled. I'm annoyed. It's like Gotham. I was with Miss Moon, or I can't remember her name, Will Smith's wife's character. I liked her for her purpose, and once she served her purpose, I thought that was good enough, but they keep bringing her back. Every time you think she's dead, she's back. And that's what they're doing with Georgiou, and it's going to drive me through the wall. And the same thing with like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with I can't remember the guy. He ended up being a Hydra agent and ends up being this demon-possessed Hydra character who everybody thinks is the Hydra god, and they finally kill him, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if I start watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again, that he's back somehow. But I don't like shows that do that. If you're going to have a main villain that you want constantly in your shows, don't kill him off, especially in the first season. Give him time to do something, get away, or be arrested and break free, or... The killing off and bringing back the life thing is just old and overdone at this point. for any show for that matter. I'm not digging Spock's beard unless they're going to try to argue this is Terran Spock. I think Terran Spock had, because I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at this point since they had Terran Lorca, Terran Georgiou, and Terran everybody else for that matter. Wouldn't be surprised if the whole stupid crew of Discovery ends up being Terran. But anyway, because I know what Terran Spock had a mustache or something, a goatee. Yeah, that's what it was. And then I guess they're hinting at he's a part of Section 31. I get that Spock was private in his life and didn't share a whole lot, but you think Kirk and maybe McCoy would at least know that at some point in Spock's life he's part of Section 31. I mean, come on, guys. How much unbelievable crap you can keep throwing in here and be like, oh, don't worry, we'll explain it later. Well, we're into Season 2. You're not really explaining a whole lot yet. Still waiting. You've already alienated your fan base, so you got to give them something to bring them back. At this point, you've lost them for good, in my opinion. My dad and I, we're done with it. If I get a free viewing of it, I might check it out to see if they can lure me back in. I kind of want to check out the Henry Mudd shorts. I really hope that's not all they're going to do with his character. I hope he will get his more episodes in the show, but the way they ended his last involvement with Discovery is he probably won't be that interactive. I don't know, but I like Mudd. I hope he's back. I think it's bogus that they're doing all these shorts. It looks like to explain in other characters on the bridge crew so you can kind of get some kind of connection with them and understand why they're part of this Discovery crew in the first place. But they should have done that in Season 1. And they were too invested in Burnham. I'm sorry. They really were. And they got nowhere with it, in my opinion. But they're just further proving this is less and less Star Trek. Now, I heard Les Moonves has been fired. I don't know how true that is. I haven't actually looked it up myself. I did hear and see. I can't remember who they were, but some key players in Discovery have been let go because of everything that's been going on. And I hope that is a sign of things to come, that Star Trek Discovery is going to take a more transition to a more Star Trek universe and make the loyal fan base of Star Trek more happy. I mean, they don't have to cater to our every will and wish. They just let us feel that this is Star Trek. Do your own thing, that's fine. They should have done something in the future, not gone in the past, if they want to do their own thing. But if they're going to do their own thing, at least make it more canon than they have. I mean, if they want to do this mysterious crew that doesn't exist in canon, but it had a big role in the Federation's history, that's fine. Play it off as Section 31. Hide it as some kind of conspiracy that they don't want people to find out about for whatever reason. But don't mess with the crew and the chemistry of what Star Trek is really Star Trek. Don't mess with the time, tradition, aliens, and Klingons. I know they argue, well, they changed over the time of regular Star Trek canon. Why can't we do it? Because yours was so incredibly radical. It was horrible. I mean, yeah, okay, Generations went radical with it from the original series, but I wasn't alive, or if I was alive when they made the transition to the Klingons in Next Generation and on. I didn't get to see the reaction to it. Maybe they had the similar reaction we are having towards the discovering Klingons. But again, this is in the past. It makes no sense to what has happened from the Klingons of the original series to Next Generations. I mean, in Enterprise, yeah, they went way, way, way back. Klingons had the ridges, but they started explaining. It was kind of a caveat to the Tribbles episode in Deep Space Nine when they saw the Klingons without ridges and they looked at Worf, and Worf basically rolled it off as this is something we don't like talking about. And we later find out it's because the Klingons messed around with the augments DNA to basically make augmented Klingons, and the human DNA that was involved with that messed with their ridges and made them look more human, which was disgraceful to them. Hence Worf's disgust with the Klingons of that time. And then Enterprise kind of went further to explain it, where they showed the Klingons that messed with it, and Phlox was brought in to help find a cure, and he eventually does, but Phlox is now saying that it's going to be years and generations before you start seeing the traditional Klingons come back, because the traditional Klingons that were still alive are going to die off. The ones that have been infected by the augmented gene are going to kind of spread for a little bit and thrive on until they kind of get their mojo back, if you will, so they're looking Klingon again. which is ironic considering they're doing this whole remain Klingon bullcrap in Discovery. We all know what you're trying to say, guys. We get it. Trump supporters are horrible. We want to make America great again. Remain Klingons a joke on that. Aha, you guys are great, amazing, creative. You're gonna be the great politician-driven show of our time. Alright, I'm going off another tangent. But yeah, Season 2 does not look any appealing to me. The only thing I really enjoy the fact is I want to see what happens to Pike. I know he's not going to remain Captain of Discovery because he goes back to being Captain of the Enterprise. Unless they're going to say this is where Kirk takes over. Because, I mean, they kind of don't really explain Pike leaving the Enterprise. Yes, they do. Yes, they don't. So maybe this is what's going to happen. Pike's going to go to Discovery, and Kirk is going to take over Enterprise. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're going to go with this. But the last time I checked, this is supposed to be 10 years before Kirk. So unless they accelerated from the third season's 10 years before Kirk, and then all of a sudden the second season is the time of Kirk, again, or by the end of the second season it'll be time of Kirk. That's like a huge jump in years. But hey, whatever. Who am I to judge the creative ingenuity in that show? So yeah, I'm not super thrilled about Discovery. I will, if I get a chance to see some episodes without paying for it, yeah, I'll check it out to see if I can change my tune. I love Star Trek. I'm too loyal to Star Trek. I want this to work. I wanted another Star Trek show to come back out. I was hoping this was it, but they've let me down. Again, maybe they'll redeem themselves if I give them the chance. I don't know. But enough about that. I'll conclude my thoughts on Lorca. I would love to see Prime Lorca come back. I think he'd be refreshing to the show. I doubt that will happen, and if it does, it will be brief, or he'll be played off to another role. He won't be Captain of Discovery. Whoever the new I believe either Saru or Burnham is going to end up becoming Captain of Discovery at some point. I don't know when. It might be 2 or 3 seasons down the road. It might be at the end of the whole series. I don't know. Burnham, they're gearing her up to be the Captain of Discovery. So Lorca being Captain, it may happen for a short brief of time, but I can see this whole butthurt Admiral is going to have her feelings about Terran Lorca and is going to somehow say, I can't trust you, kind of like what Burnham did with Tyler. But we'll get into that because I think that, well, next one's going to be about Stamens. The next episode will be about Stamens, who's one of my second to third favorite characters in the show. And I'll explain that later, but I would love to see Lorca brought back in, but I don't think he's going to get the role I want him to have, and that's, I mean, at this point it's fine, because I don't have to watch the show anymore. It's that simple. They don't have to get my support. So, let me know what you guys think. If you agree with or disagree with what I said, if you think I went too much of a tangent and didn't cover Lorca enough, and you want to hear more about my thoughts of Lorca, I can do that. I can dig back into it. My videos have gotten long. I'm trying to keep them short, as you saw my gun videos. I'm breaking that up. That I was supposed to be one video. It's going to be like 3 or 4 videos. My gaming videos are going to be shorter, so I can only have so many long videos on my channel because I don't want you guys to lose interest. So let me know what you guys think below about this video, my thoughts on Lorca and Discovery as a whole. I've already had one comment. Somebody posted on, I think, my first What's Wrong with Discovery video, and they said nothing, which I knew what they meant. They're saying there's nothing wrong with Discovery, but they failed to explain why. And that's not what I'm looking for in the comments. If you guys want to tell me what you think or feel about what I've said, if you agree or disagree, please go into more detail. I would like to know. Maybe you convince me to change my mind. Maybe. I just want to be more engaged in these discussions. I don't do these videos just so you guys can hear me ramble on my point of view on a topic. I want to hear what you guys think, and I want to learn more. I want to grow. That's the whole point of this hobby of mine. So don't come in here and get all pouty face and say nothing's wrong because you're upset because I'm dissing on something you like. I'm sure you guys got plenty of things that I like that you would make fun of and diss, and you know what? I'll get over it. You're not going to change my love of something. So, and that's not what I'm trying to do for you guys. I'm just letting you know my point of view so I can learn yours. So, and I mean, I believe that person also gave me a thumbs down, but at least, hey, they gave me a thumbs down and gave a comment, unlike some other cowards that just gave me thumbs down. But yeah, it sounded I'm a little butthurt about this, isn't it? But anyway, to me, you're kind of a joke. If you're not going to explain why you dislike something or disagree, then you're not worth my time. So, if you're going to tell me nothing's wrong with Discovery, tell me why. And maybe you'll change my tune, or I'll use that as a reference in another video. So, And no, I will not mock and make fun of you unless you do something like just tell me nothing and leave it at. I actually even replied to the comment. I was like, so that's all you got for me? Nothing else? You're just going to tell me nothing's wrong? No? Okay, cool. So, anyway, guys, I hope you have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is older Star Trek Online footage. I'm trying to use up what I have here. My Cox internet has a data limit. I've been exceeding that lately, so downloading videos off of Twitch is not an option that often anymore. I'm going to only do it for videos that are worth downloading and uploading to YouTube, since that uses up a lot of data. Hopefully once I upgrade this rig and take my old parts and put them in my old tower, and then use that tower as a recording rig, and I can record game footage without interfering with my streams. That way I can kill two birds with one stone. That's my goal someday, and that way I don't have to worry about using up my data. Yeah, and all that good stuff. So if you guys like what you see, let me know in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, all that good jazz. You know where I am on Twitter. The links are below. You know where I am on Facebook and Twitch. So feel free to check it all out. I do have a Discord now. I think I will add that in my YouTube links down below. But it is on my Twitch. If you want to find that link, go over to my Twitch channel and you'll get that link to Discord. And right now, if you're not a follower or subscriber to YouTube or Twitch or both, you will not be able to do anything except view stuff. So if you would like to be able to interact with other members of this organization community, you will have to be a follower and or subscriber to YouTube and Twitch. So until then, guys, anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. This video is kind of long. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one.